I don't know if you want to check out the copy. Obviously, there's no corporate sponsorship.
So what are you advocating?
Sorry?
What are you advocating?
We're with Socialist Alternative. For work
Socialist?
Alternative.
And what's a socialist alternative?
Our movement, we're fighting for workers' rights.
Okay.
You want to take a look at our paper? Dr. Jesse?
Okay.
Sure.
What's the socialist alternative, I wonder?
Well, for us, we don't think that this system is working for working people. You know, with the mass unemployment, with huge budget cuts, war, environmental destruction, we see a continued crisis rooted in the system, a crisis of capitalism, global capitalism.
And where did socialism succeed, I wonder?
Well, it's not really a question of where. The point is that capitalism isn't working, right? And we need to come up to.
But you want to replace it with socialism, right?
Well, I want to replace it, yeah. And I don't think that the former planned economies, like in the Soviet Union, were real socialist societies.
What were they?
Well, there's an initial attempt to make.
What's that?
I said there's an attempt to overthrow capitalism, but it's a form into a totalitarian regime. And I think what we need is democratic socialism. We have a planned economy, but also democracy. And I don't think it's inevitable that sort of thing will happen.
But they tried it in Soviet Union, they failed, right? They tried it in Vietnam, it failed.
I don't think they really
China,
tried it. I don't really think they tried it, right?
So you think that if you try again, you're going to succeed this time around?
I think it's really based on the ideas of socialism.
Well, what are the ideas of socialism?
Workers' democracy, democratic control over the economy.
What's that? How's it going to work in practice?
I think there's plenty of examples that show it can work.
Such as?
In practice. I mean, on the basic level, working people have proven that they can run.
Well, but it's a theory. You know, I would like to live in a la la land myself. Yeah. But I mean, we have to deal with the people the way they are, with the realities of human nature.
I've heard this argument over and over and over again. And
right.
I don't believe that humans are inherently greedy, that we can also be collaborative and cooperative, but we live in a system which encourages and rewards people being cutthroat and individualistic and greedy. And if we had a system that was based on cooperation...
But how do you plan on actually achieving that? I mean, that's something that keeps surprising me. I mean, nice words, Marx, Engels, I see books on Marx and Engels. I mean, it always failed. Lenin was based on Marx and Engels, right? Mao Zedong, same thing. They all claim to be Marxist Leninists, but they all failed. And they were following allegedly the same precepts, the same recipes which Marx and Engels espoused. No, so that's why, you know, to be honest with you, I'm really surprised. And you know why I'm surprised? Because I came from USSR originally. So I lived in the system that you advocate for.
No, I'm not advocating for that system.
But how about...
I'm not stop putting words in my mouth. It's ridiculous.
Okay, fine.
No, seriously. How do you think we can have a real discussion if you're gonna throw stuff at me like that?
Because they use the word socialism. It all ended up in...
It's not a genuine discussion we're having.
Help me, please.
No,
help me.
I don't really care to.
What's that?
I don't really care to. I don't think you're really interested in...
I am.
No,
I am, because look, you are here trying to promote your vision of the society imposed on my country. I'm an American citizen. It's my country. So you want to change this country to something different. So I'm concerned. I really want to know, what are you going to change it to?
I think if you look at the history...
I did. I lived through history. Not just look, but I lived.
You weren't around in the Russian Revolution, and neither was I, right?
Russian Revolution?
Yeah.
You use Russian Revolution as an example. Do the words Red Terror ring the bell?
Do the words Red Terror? I mean, you're not even letting me finish the sentence.
Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize.
No, it's too bad.
All right.
You know, you're not really interested in a genuine discussion. You showed that repeatedly, you know? You can act like it, but you're not, clearly.
I apologize. Can you explain? Please.
I think if you look at the real history of the Soviet Union, the Russian Revolution, you'll find that was, for the first time, working people in 1917 did come to power in incredibly difficult conditions, torn by war, isolated, underdeveloped, and the whole way that socialism will work, just like capitalism, is that it needs to become a global system. And in other words, that the revolution would have had to spread. And the revolution, there was attempts of working people in other countries, in Germany and other European countries, to take power. They failed to do what the Bolsheviks did. The Soviet Union remained isolated, underdeveloped, and those conditions allowed for the degeneration of that revolution into a total distortion of genuine Marxist ideas, and a totalitarian bureaucracy arose as a parasitic form of control over this society. Most of the revolutions after that modeled themselves after the Soviet Union and were deformed from the beginning. But I don't think that it was inevitable. I don't think it was inevitable. I think it's possible to do away with capitalism, have a publicly owned economy that's planned, that's not based on the anarchy and competition, cutthroat competition of the free market, but that's also democratic. And I don't think you can just simplistically put forward these examples in history and say that proves that it can't work, right? I mean, how many times did people try to fly and it didn't work? How many times? The first flight only lasted 12 seconds. The first flight. You could have concluded from that. You could have, by your logic, you could have concluded.
I'm not interrupting you yet.
You could have concluded from that the flight isn't possible. But they kept trying because they knew theoretically it was possible, and that they had to figure out how to do it right. And I think that's true for socialism as well.
Okay.
It's theoretically possible, you have to do it right.
Okay. May I?
But I'm busy here, so I need to talk to other people. You heard my position now. Okay. I know your position is different.
Okay, but just to sum it up. With the flights, to use your analogy, your examples, the planes are flying perfectly okay right now. I can give you plenty of examples of successful airline companies where planes hardly ever, in fact, it's the safest mode of transportation today, okay? Now, to follow your example, name a single successful socialist country. 1917 has been long, almost a century ago.
Right, but we're not talking about a basic technology like flight. We're talking about historical change, right? Capitalism. How long did it take capitalism from its first revolution?
But it succeeded.
No, but how long did it take from its first revolution to the time where it became the dominant global system on this country?
The one that works.
What's that?
The one that works.
How long does it take?
Well, it took a while, but it started working.
It took several hundred years.
Fine.
Socialism hasn't even had 100 years. Wait. Socialism hasn't even had 100 years.
But it was working back then, it's working today, and it's getting better and better.
I also don't think that the Soviet Union was a complete failure, and that there was a gain of the revolution.
What was the gain?
The planned economy, which turned a backwards country, an underdeveloped country, into a superpower, right? No capitalism, no capital.
Can I give you my personal example? I'm not interrupting you.
I know what you're going to say. It's based on slave labor and killing millions of people, blah, blah, blah. I've heard it all before.
Well, how about a very simple example? I mean, you're sitting over here, all dressed up. You can choose footwear that you want. You even wear jeans. Well, guess what? The jeans were really actually impossible to come by in the Soviet Union. Impossible.
The jeans in this country are shit, man. They fall apart.
Okay, how about t-shirts? How about the necklace? How about the jacket? But if you want to get it, I mean, right across the street, there are plenty of stores around here where you can get the jeans. Better quality, lower quality. In the Soviet Union, you have the money was totally worthless. You want to get the jeans? There's no place in the whole USSR.
I know, but there's no reason why they.
But that's the planned economy that you advocate for.
Was the obstacle. The obstacle to having good quality products was the bureaucratic top-down control. It wasn't the planned economy. The planned economy can produce those things, no problem. Why not? Show me from a theoretical point of view why a planned economy couldn't produce these things. Explain to me from that.
Very simple. I'll explain why. I'm a capitalist. I do business.
This is a theoretical situation.
No, I am a capitalist.
You own a bank?
No, I don't own the bank.
Corporation?
No, I have a small company.
That's not capitalism.
Well, yes, it is. Well, if profit.
Read Capital. Have you ever read Karl Marx's Capital?
Well,
so you don't even actually know anything.
Third, can I tell you something? In 6 years that I spent in college, out of 6 years, two were devoted to the socialist Soviet propaganda. 2 years. So scientific communism. Have you ever studied scientific communism? Did you take the course on scientific communism?
I've taken plenty of courses on socialism, not in college, in the real life, and all around me.
Well, you're accusing, well, not accusing, but telling me that I know nothing. I didn't read it. We had to. I had no choice. I couldn't get out of it.
You read Capital.
Of course I did. We had to.
So
read the
you read Capital, and you're sitting here telling me that you run a small business and you're a capitalist. That means
of course I am.
What that shows to me is that you didn't understand anything.
Really? How about
Simple
simple definition of capitalism? profit. You know that profit was illegal in USSR? You'll go to prison for 3 years.
That's not the simple definition of capitalism.
Well, you're selling your books. Let's assume you do it for profit.
Marx said what? It was generalized
It
commodity
doesn't
production.
matter what Marx said. There's the reality. There's the reality. It's a la la land. There's.
I'm just saying. You said you understood Marxism. Maybe you don't agree with it, but at least from that point of view, the you can talk about the definition of capitalism, which you just asked.
Well, the definition
generalized commodity production, and you're not producing a
it's all based on private property. Private property was illegal in the USSR.
Feudalism was based on private property. Ancient slave society was based on private property. That's not what makes capitalism capitalism.
Then what makes capitalism
generalized commodity production?
What's that?
What is read capital?
I did.
Okay.
I did.
Read it again.
All right.
And pay attention this time.
All right.
I'm really busy.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry.
Education of immigrants. Please help me to bring that message in the person way that all the immigrants need to know they have education.
You work for Fox News?
What's that?
You work for Fox News?
I work? I don't work. I work for.
You work. Oh, good for you.
Because the next generation of immigrants, they are the Americans here. And that's why we have to help each other, help to do this. And that's why we're in support of Arizona. We have to fight Arizona because we are with education.